What's happening, everyone? Welcome to the Sportscast. It's me, Andy. We've got Musk. We are in the Feathers, bottom of Harris Drive, on Hawthorne Road. Massive thank you to the lads here for letting us record. If you want to come down and support your local boozer this weekend, Friday, you've got Steph Hodge. She's unbelievable. Seen her millions of times. It's boss. And then on Saturday, put the Left Indicators on, playing 8 o'clock, both for Steph and them. And then on Sunday, you've got Newcastle Arsenal is the 4:30 kickoff. So get down to the Feathers, support them. And again, nice one to the lads for letting us record in here. Also, massive thank you, like I announced last week, Hill Dickinson are our new main sponsors. We cannot thank them enough. Their biggest deal of the year, signing up with the Leggett podcast. We greatly appreciate Peter and the guys at Hill Dickinson. Don't forget, we will be getting them on in the next couple of weeks to talk about how the deal came through with naming rights of Everton's new stadium. So all that to look forward to. How are we, Musk?
I'm all right, lad. I was going to ask you, because you've only just got back from being away, haven't you?
Yeah, so, by the way, anyone of our listeners who is in business or into self-development, have a look at Be The Standard. Type in on Instagram, Be The Standard. It's a private members group who meet up once a month, and we have different guest speakers in every month. Everyone from Ricky Hatton, mentioned it last week, to Eddie Hearn, Barry Hearn, Stephen Gerrard, Jamie Carragher, Gary Neville, Linford Christie, Roy Jones Jr., Paula Radcliffe. The name goes on and on and on. Anyone who's done well in business or in sport, they come in once a month, do a talk, you learn a lot from them, loads of networking, made loads of amazing friends, learn a lot from people in the room, and once a year we always go away. So we've been to Athens, Krakow, Iceland, and this year we went to Sorrento. So I had 2 nights in Sorrento, which was amazing.
How many people went?
About 30 of us go.
Sounds, yeah.
Yeah, about 30 of us went to Pompeii. Unbelievable. Well, so sad to think what happened, but like just the learning about it was unbelievable. And then we climbed Mount Vesuvius, which was cool. Climbed it in my arms, those white arm trainers, which wasn't great, so I've wrecked them. But apart from that, an amazing day. And just, do you know what I will say, without getting too deep and off sport, but there was one session in there where you do a bit of reflection, and it was, what advice would you give to your 16-year-old self? And my advice was, be careful who you share good news with. Because growing up, I was very naive to the people I told my successes to. Because very naively, you think everyone wants you to do well. And as you get older, you realise that not everyone wants you to do well. There are some people who are bitter or maybe jealous or just don't want the best for you. And I've learned that as the older I've got. And in this particular group that I'm in now, when something good happens to me, they're some of the first people I tell, because you just know that they're buzzing for you. They've got no bitterness or jealousy in the body. They're made up for you. So it's all about being around like-minded people, which was amazing. So
I think that's kind of like the laziest thing for someone to do, is to try and bring someone down rather than build themselves up in it, really. So that's probably why that does happen, not just to you, but for a lot of people that have success. It's like one of the things that they'll find is that some people are happy for them, some people won't be happy for them because it makes them feel shit about them not doing what they would have hoped to have done by X years or whatever. So yeah, you're right about like sharing it with the people who you feel you can trust around that moment.
Yeah. So there was a lot of that, a lot of goal setting, loads of reflection, a few beers, and just a boss time, yeah. Got back from there and I went down to Newbury yesterday. I was working down there doing a talk.
Mission, that, isn't it?
220 miles, I think. It was about 9.5 hours in the car on my own. Wasn't great, but the talk went really well. So that was good. My mate Jim actually got me that talk, so nice one, Jim. Yeah, how have you been?
Sammy's just been cracking on at work. Kids have been doing really well in our work. They've been there for the last 3 or 4 weeks, and they're all like getting out and interviewing and doing all the things that basically I tell them that I should be doing.
Loads of little mini Musks.
Yeah, but better.
Better. Yeah. Don't know about that, lad. Don't put yourself down. Good. Should we talk about what happened? How I nearly never went to Derby?
Yeah. First of all, at was it 9 o'clock on the Friday morning? You were like, can we start talking about plans for tomorrow? So you were eager.
I was on it, yeah.
Yeah, you were foaming at the mouth for some Derby action, weren't you?
Yeah. So Kieran, who again we still get messages from him and Dave, the Southport edition we done, which was great. By the way, Southport are playing on Saturday in the semi-final, if you like, of the qualifying of the FA Cup. They're playing against a team called, let me get it up. It's up in near Newcastle. Called Morpeth.
Yeah, Morpeth, yeah.
It's a good 3 or 4 hour drive away. So 3 o'clock Saturday. If they win that, the draw is on Monday. And then if they win that one, they're in the FA Cup proper.
Yeah.
So fingers crossed that they can get a win. Morpeth are in the league below them and a second from bottom. So
fingers crossed, yeah.
Fingers crossed Southport do the job on Saturday. So, like Musk said, I spoke to Kieran, and Kieran said obviously is now, what's the word I'm looking for? His duty is obviously Southport, being the owner. And they were playing at 3 o'clock. The Merseyside Derby was 12:30. So Kieran said, you can have my ticket. Happy days. So Friday, I'm ringing around Musk and the lads. What are we doing Saturday for the match? Saturday morning, I get a voice note off Kieran that says this.
It's a fucking nightmare here. Oh, the pitch is waterlogged. So there's no fucking game on. So I'm probably going to need that ticket, lad. Can you get anyone else? Is anyone else got a ticket?
So that was sent at 24 minutes past 9 Saturday morning. I responded saying, it's sound, lad, don't worry. But inside, I'm like, you cheeky bastard.
And then jumped into our group like, if anyone hears of anyone that has a ticket for 3 hours' time, then please let me know mine's falling through. It
was a long shot. Messaged the lads, messaged a few people who I'd know. I was just about to put it on Instagram. I'm like ringing round, flapping. And then Kieran forwards me this one.
Do us a favour, mate. Obviously, Everton going to get beat today, so I'm going to have a shit day. But it'd make my day if you messaged Andy now and said, oh, mate, I've just checked the air cameras and the pitch is definitely waterlogged for today, so I'm going to need that ticket. Go on, mate, please.
Which he did do. And I absolutely flapped it. So Gary was 1-0 up. Like, it absolutely killed me. I think Gary wanted it to go on a bit longer, but the 5 minutes it went on for was torture enough.
It was heavy in our group though. Like, loads of people were like feeling sorry for you. Loads of people were feeling angry on your behalf because you were going, there's nothing I can do. It's one of them. And then one of the lads was like, it's fucking not one of them, lad.
Yeah. So I actually said to Kieran, I was like, when Kieran told me the truth, I went, oh lad, you've been getting slagged here. And he said, and I knew Kieran, well, I obviously didn't know in that moment, but Kieran said, do you really think I would have took the ticket off you? And I don't think he would have if it was a real thing. But he got me hook, line and sinker.
Yeah,
I was absolutely gutted. Then obviously 5 minutes later he told me it was a lie, and then we get excited again. Our kind of got Gary back though is we're in a little race club where we all pay a £5 a week, and Gary hadn't set up his direct debit yet. So I reminded him, I said, oh, you owe us 50 quid. And I said to Gary, rather than give me 50 quid, just throw 50 quid on Gravenberg to score first goal. So Gary said, oh lad, I'm not putting that bet on for you. I said, well, I'm going to do it anyway, so you may as well just do it for me. He did do it, and he scored the first goal. So I think Gary having to put a bet on a Liverpool player scoring first goal and it winning against Everton, that was kind of 1-1.
Yeah, and the race club that we're in got
got
an extra 50 quid. No, not the full amount. Got the 50 quid for him from one of the lads. Should we talk about the game then?
Let's talk about the game. You know what? All that excitement before the match was probably better than the match, to be honest.
You've probably done in by the time it got to 12:30.
Listen, first half you thought happy days. You know, that going to be the game where it clicked. You know, you thought that. In fact, before we say on that, the actual game, was you surprised by Florian Wirtz not starting?
No. I think I said it either last week or the week before when we were talking about Wirtz, and I said, I don't think Gakpo's done enough wrong to get dropped. I think over time, it probably will be Gakpo that will end up maybe drifting, depending on how his performances go, because he wasn't amazing on the weekend. But I did think if someone was going to be dropping out at any point so that we get that midfield three again, which we probably needed, I did think it was going to be Wirtz to make way, just because of the fact that, yeah, he does do nice bits and pieces, but for that kind of game, you did think that you will have needed a little bit more kind of power in the middle.
Do you think that's a telling sign that in the big games, or maybe the emotional games like a derby, like the Uniteds, like Arsenal, Cities, he will stick to that kind of midfield engine of last season?
I think for now we will. I don't think it'll be something that he has to do all the time. I think it's probably just one of those where, for now, Wirtz needs to get up to scratch with what it's like to be in a strong Premier League week in, week out, where he doesn't get to be on the ball as much as he may have been last year and all that kind of stuff. And he's probably needing to work a little bit more on like the strength side of things, but also kind of the mentality of feeling that he can go into a challenge as well. Because I think even when he did come on, there was a couple of times where he kind of went for those little dinks over a tackle rather than maybe like going in, which that could even get him injured further down the line anyway.
Do you know what though? And I think that was the first game where it was ironic. Gary kind of saying, "Look, no one's talking about Wirtz because he's a winning." And then it was on TalkSport. They basically had that same debate that we had on here, and it was the first performance where I've thought, Gary's going to be sitting there smiling, because when he come on, he didn't do anything, did he? It was probably his worst game for Liverpool. And do you know what? In his defence, because I'm a big fan of his, I don't think it's so much him. I think it's the system. And I know I went on about it last week, and I won't go on about it too much this week, but I just think if you've got a front three of Salah, Isak and Gakpo, and you're going to swap Gakpo with Rio or Gakpo with Ekitike or Isak with Ekitike, obviously Salah's the mainstay, you've got enough players there to kind of rotate. Throw Chiesa in, by the way, as well. He's not getting in there, so you've then got to break up that midfield three that was so dominant last year. And I'm not saying there's no way he can fit into the team. Clearly, Slot's got an idea. That's why they spent nearly 100 million on him. But I've got a bit of sympathy for him. It's like he's obviously a quality player, but I just think it's hard to displace that midfield three and figure a way where he kind of is an important player, where he's maybe not the engine room, and he's not the direct attack, but he is that number 10. And I don't know. I just don't know how it's going to work.
Well, he came on for Gakpo, didn't he? So he came on the left, which he hasn't played there for us anyway. But obviously, Slot wanted to bring him on. It probably wasn't the best moment in the game for him to come on anyway, because we weren't after that part of our game. We were looking on maybe bringing people in a little bit to protect the 2-1, and obviously again as I've just said, that's not my part of his game anyway. But yeah, as I was saying before, like the opportunities that came for him where he could have had a little bit of a go and shown a little bit of fight and a little bit of that like tenacity kind of thing, he just didn't have that. And I think that'll be one of the things that will probably go against them when it comes to those types of games where you might have a bit more of a dogfight or a bit more of a scrappy one in the middle or whatever, where you need the players to want to go and win the ball rather than just kind of play with the ball.
Just on that though, do you think there's a point, and by the way, I totally agree with you, but in general, do you think there's a point with derbies that derbies aren't what they used to be?
Yeah. We've said it on previous shows, haven't we, that like it's a lot more technical. I think when you were on the one with Gary, I think Jack was saying about they're not as nasty as they used to be.
Well, I just think there's not even so much it has to be kind of 11 Scousers versus 11 Scousers. It's a case of there's not many British players, are there? You know, how are you meant to get, trying to convince, Alex McAllister or Hugo Ekitike that this is the one game? It's like,
yeah, and you also don't want them to have that like faux nastiness where they're just doing stupid things, where they're flying. Like, remember, was it Mori for them, where he went through Origi? Like, that's kind of like a faux nastiness where you're doing it for the sake of it to get your fans on side, but really it's not doing anything positive for the game.
Yeah,
fucking got sent off for it. So that's that kind of thing we don't need. But I don't think we have got that kind of gritty battle that we used to. It is a lot more technical, just from the footy side of things anyway. Yeah,
no, I agree. So yeah, the lineup was what it was, but then the game started well. I thought Gravenberch, again, the start he's made of the season,
unbelievable.
I think someone's put up the flash scores of his kind of ratings, and he's hitting about an 8.5 every game or something.
Well, the last 3 Prem games, he's got player of the match, hasn't he?
Yeah, playing great. And when I put the bet on Gravenberch first goal, everyone's like, me mate Carl and his lad, when I was in a taxi with, he said, lad, he scored 1 goal, I think, in his career. I think, was it Newcastle, was it?
I can't remember,
He scored against Newcastle a few weeks back, didn't he? I'm sure he did. Anyway, doesn't score often, but yeah, someone on Instagram had actually messaged me when I was texting Gary and just said Gravenberch, and that's why I put him on. Anyway, took his goal so well, didn't he?
Oh, unbelievable. Like, the fact that the way that, because it wasn't the first time that like one of our midfield three was getting into that kind of position. Like we seem to be knocking it round quite well in the early parts of the game, right up until maybe like 35, 40 minutes to be fair. But that opportunity that came to him, he just stroked at it, didn't he? He didn't like need to put any power behind it. The ball had done enough. Yeah. He just knew that as the ball was coming to me, I just need to like lift it over. And obviously it does help that Pickford's a little bit smaller than most other keepers, which I don't even know if any other keeper, I haven't seen it back to be fair, if any other keeper would have got that, but it just seemed to just be the perfect height and the perfect guide over just to nestle on the back of the net. Which
the Anfield crowd told him exactly what he was lacking in the arm department after the goal, which was good. And then another great move involving Gravenberch again. And Ekitike takes his goal really well, to be fair, doesn't he?
Oh, yeah. Like, someone put a little comparison between Ekitike and Nunes had a similar one. I think it was either last season or the season before, where you go through basically one-on-one with Pickford and he hits it at Pickford. Whereas Ekitike just, again, nice, calm, composed, just finishes it. And to be fair, the build-up, I was saying to one of the lads that, one of our blue mates who came for a pint after, we won that ball because they tried to play over and they lost it in our half. I think it was Dewsbury Hall, went for the header, knocked it down, but there was no one else by him.
It just got picked up,
and then our midfield three just kind of played it around, a couple of nice little neat knocks, got it through to Ekitike.
Great movement, wasn't it, by him?
Yeah,
as well?
Yeah, it was so fluid. Then he was showing why he was getting the nod over Isak last week as well, and he just took that goal so well.
Yeah. We'll come on to him a bit more in a minute when we talk about the Carabao Cup. But on that one, you went in at half-time thinking 2-0 at half-time, no drama, happy days, see the game out, couple of goals in the second half. This could be the kind of 3-4, 5-0 we've all been waiting for. But I think since the second goal winning, we even dropped off the last 10 minutes, didn't we, of the first half. And then into the second half, it was just absolutely crap, wasn't it?
Yeah, so I think in the last 5-10 minutes of that first half, there was a couple of times where someone from the back, whether that was going to be Alisson or whether it was one of the centre-halves or whatever, they were trying to make passes that were a little bit too risky. And it was, I don't know if it was like a little bit of a, well, we're 2-0 up, we can try little bits and pieces now. But it wasn't the time to do that because you're going in with that last 5-10 minutes of being what you're bringing into half-time then. And I think that then seeped into the second half. I just thought that on the ball, few of the players were really sloppy. Don't know whether that's because some of them were played in midweek or whatever, or whether it was just like a bit of an overconfidence thing or what, but it just seemed like they weren't as sharp as at protecting the ball and keeping hold of the ball as they were in the first 30-35 minutes.
I'd have to look at it again, but there was times where Van Dijk and Konate had the ball and they were literally just stood on the ball because Beto wasn't closing them down. And it was almost, that's what kind of slowed the game down so much. It was like,
well, they've been told to invite, haven't they?
Yeah.
So I've noticed as well, since we've had, I don't know if it's just since we've had Slot, but I noticed it more and more last year, is that they like to play and look over the shoulder a little bit and then literally wait for that last moment and then they'll pass it. But as you said, they were going, well, you can do that. We'll just get ourselves back in. We're not going to chase because we know what might happen if we do chase. Obviously, we scored a goal from a couple of their players being out of position. So they weren't going to make that same mistake. But then obviously it then makes us probably make, as I was saying, those riskier passes to try and get it through the lines, or if they're getting a little bit bored, just passing between.
That's what it was. I was going to say bored. You've seen Konate, and I was on kind of online where maybe Konate is most of the game, and he's just stood on the ball, just kind of waiting for someone, and he's just like, should go left, right, back to Alisson. And I just think that dropped the intensity a bit, and then obviously Everton, I wouldn't even say capitalised. I mean, they got a goal back, but I think if they've got...
They could have got a goal just before the half, though, with a very similar move as well.
But I just think if they've got a little bit more quality in the final third, then maybe, getting a draw out of that game. But I don't think they had loads of chances, did they?
No. To be fair, I don't know if we did either, really. I don't think it was a great game.
I think if they obviously get the first goal, which is a great goal, isn't it? He takes it really well. And to be fair, I had a great view of it. and then obviously all the Evertonians in the background, it looked like it went off. It looked like a good goal and good celebration. But yeah, it was a good goal. But apart from that, and even like us, there was not really any big chances. And I think, listen, if they'd got an equaliser, would they have deserved it? Listen, from a corner, they get a goal. I don't think we can moan too much. Thankfully, they didn't. And I think that's just down to them just not having that quality. I was thinking that would you have been able to moan loads that if they'd got an equaliser, and you think, well, we didn't play
We
great
didn't do
at
enough
all,
in that
did
second
we?
half. No,
No.
it was a little bit of a game of two halves, and I think the first half, I don't think it was even that Everton were playing poorly. I just think Liverpool played really well, and then I think Liverpool dropped down their level, not to Everton's level, but dropped Liverpool's level down. Everton carried on playing the way they were playing, and as you said, got a little bit of a capitalisation on the fact that we'd dropped off. We weren't as sharp. You can't be leaving a man in the box just able to just stroke it home like that. It was a great finish, but who's there to pick him up, to nick it off him, whatever. He had a lot of space, to be fair.
No. I seen like a little bit of needle as well between Van Dijk and Tarkowski, which was a good one. You want to see that? Like, that bit reminded me of a derby, like the 10 seconds it lasted, like, but apart from that, didn't see much else.
They're both kind of shithousery type centre halves, aren't they? They want to be able to wind people up. Normally, Van Dijk's way of winding people up is to be very calm and show that they're not getting into his head and all that kind of stuff. But I think he kind of enjoyed. It seemed like him and Tarkowski enjoyed that little thing between each other. Both sets of fans, obviously, are going to be tribal. Yeah. But I think for the pair of them, that's what Tarkowski's about, isn't he? He tries to get in people's heads. He'll stand on your toe. He'll pull your shirt. He'll do whatever he wants to do, whether it's during a free kick or a corner or whatever. And I think Van Dijk probably thought he got one over on him, and then he pulls the tongue and all that. But yeah, I think that's as tasty as it got, really, didn't it? Besides like the many fouls on Jack Grealish.
I was speaking of him. I was row 11 at the King Kenny stand. How big are Jack Grealish's legs?
They are like
he was playing like obviously left.
There's a reason he wears his socks low. Like
that's a kind of a brand thing, that isn't it?
Yeah.
Like
he's a thirsty man.
I know, I couldn't believe it. I was just like, oh my god! Like, I was dead close to him. His calves are absolutely huge. And I had quite a good view of the little battle he had with Bradley. And yeah, he's not happy with the referee, but it was fucking just 6-1 after, doesn't he? The whole game. I was dead close to it all. Yeah, it could have had a couple of fouls against him, but yeah, he was doing it to him. It was, yeah, I don't see what the big kind of moment was from Grealish. It was not really well, in my opinion, anyway.
I think in the first half there was 3, maybe 4 fouls on Grealish just by Bradley. So I can see where he's like in his head counting up and he's going, well, the laws of the game are that it's 3 and a card.
But they weren't like proper, like
it was just pulls or clips stuff, or whatever. I had Bradley to get booked, so I was in agreement with our Jack there. But I didn't like the fact that he didn't get booked then for asking the ref for a card, because that's meant to be a booking. So there were quite a few things where I know Everton fans will come out of that game more aggrieved by the ref, which we'll talk about. But I think the ref could have done things for both teams, and I think he was just trying to let a lot go, and then by the end of it, I think he'd let too much go, that he had tried to rein it in, and I think that's where your Dewsbury Hall card comes from. Yeah,
no, I agree. The other one as well, a bit more of a fact on the summer as well. We spoke about Harvey Elliott going because he wants to maybe break into that England setup and get more first team appearances. Curtis Jones, another one, comes on, does well. Again, he plays midweek. Is he looking at that England team thinking, I want to be on that plane? Is he thinking he's going to get enough game time? Again, Scouser being in the team, is he prepared to, do you know what? I just want to play for Liverpool. I don't care if I'm playing every week. Is he thinking more about his England career? Is he thinking about maybe leaving in the summer? Because we spoke already about the midfield 3. Throw in Florian Wirtz. Is Jones happy or not? I don't know. Because he's coming on, he's playing well when he's coming on, and he's making a difference, isn't he? But is that going to be enough for him?
Yeah, I'd say he's probably one of the players of the second half for us. So I was talking about the levels dropping, but when he came on, he kind of brought the level back up a little bit. He made things a little bit calmer in the middle by absorbing the ball a little bit more, not giving it away, protecting it a little bit more, drawing out fouls. He was doing the kind of things that we were hoping McAllister would have been able to do earlier on in that second half. But yeah, he showed that he's at a level where he can be competing, but I do think he's going to be 4th or 5th out of those centre mids. He might find himself getting a few minutes in the middle, a few minutes on the left. I don't think he's going to play enough that it's going to be an England shout. I think any player, regardless whether you Scout's not English or whatever, I think every player, if you're an elite athlete, you want to be playing at the top. You want to be going to those tournaments regardless. You want to
play in a World Cup, don't you? Especially in America.
Yeah, so he'd want to, but I don't think he's going to get enough spotlight on him in order to warrant it.
I think McAllister was probably one of our players this season. Last season, I absolutely thought he was brilliant. But it's like Szoboszlai's almost gone up a level, Gravenberg's gone up a level, and almost out of that midfield three. I know McAllister had an injury, didn't play for a long time last season. I don't think he played for the last 5 or 6 games, did he, last season? So maybe he's just getting up to speed, I don't know, but McAllister doesn't quite seem on the other two's level yet. So it'll be interesting how him and Jones maybe kind of keep that going. But again, there are a lot of games coming up, aren't there? So
I think McAllister's shown like the difference or the power of a good pre-season, because I think the other players around him have had a good pre-season. As you said, he wasn't there at the back end of last season. He came a little bit later to pre-season, similar to what we'll talk about with Isak in a little bit. It shows you can do as much training in your camps or your one-to-ones with a coach or whatever. If you're not playing games, you're not getting up to that same kind of sharpness as everybody else. And I think that showed. I think for the Everton goal, McAllister actually gave the ball away, which was an easy ball or an easy-ish ball for somebody like him, and he just passes it to them. They then build from that and they score from it. I'm not saying that that's the only thing that he did wrong and that's why we're digging him out, but that's just an example of it's not that far into the game. It's still only at like 56, 57, 58 minutes. That if you're making those tired mistakes, then you're not match fit.
I don't think Everton have got loads to be aggrieved. I know there was a lot of moaning at the end of the game about the time added on. And to be fair, I do agree with them. How often is it? There's only 3 minutes.
Do you know what? I said, I reckon it'll be... So with Mike, who sits next to me, I said, I reckon it'll be about 4. And he was like, nah, lad, it's going to be less than that. I went, more often than not, you're getting at least 4, because it used to be 3 was like the number. And then once they brought in the new rule a couple of seasons ago, it was 4, maybe 5. And then obviously we've had a lot more for injuries and stuff.
I thought it would have been 5 minutes. I thought 3 is a bit harsh. Not that, again, I think they could have played for another hour, and I don't think Everton would have scored. So this whole kind of, oh my God, I don't think that's... I think it was a bit over top.
Well, yeah, and I think one of the things that people pointed out was that when the ref blew, it was like a 4-on-2 to Liverpool on the break. So if it was a 4 or a 5 minutes added on, it could have been 3-1, not 2-1.
Yeah. Fair point, yeah.
But, you very rarely do see 3 minutes now. There wasn't a lot in terms of injuries. The subs that were made, they were made in pockets. So, like, we made 2 subs at once, Everton made 2 subs at once. Obviously Barry came on at half time for Beto, so there was no time lost there. So there weren't loads.
You think about though how long the goal celebration is and all that.
Yeah.
Subs, it's a lot more than 3 minutes. Like, so I would feel a little tiny bit aggrieved, but it wasn't going to change the result. So I didn't get the whole carry, all the memes and all that shit that goes on social media.
I think it, and it's not just Everton fans, by the way.
It was more like Sport Lab Bible or
there's a lot of people hate watching that and going, like, your Arsenal fans, City fans, Chelsea, whatever, going, it's always Liverpool. If they need a goal, they're going to get more time.
Get 10 minutes
but obviously, if we're needing a goal, it's because the other team are either drawing with us or are ahead of us. So they're going to be time wasting.
Yeah.
So we're just benefiting from their time wasting. So that's where those extra minutes are coming from. That's not going to happen if it's the other way around, because we weren't time wasting when we were up.
All in all, though, 15 points from 15. Knowing that you played Newcastle away, your local rivals and Arsenal, and we're on 100%, it's a great start.
Even the fact that it's 7-7, like if you take the cups into consideration as well, just a perfect start all round. You'd hope now that we can take that into the international break in a couple of weeks where we're still
still riding
on that perfect wave. Like,
okay, going into Tuesday then, the Carabao Cup. I might have a completely different view on this, and you just go, fucking hell, lad, you're a bit, you're off on one there. But start of the season, I wasn't getting too excited about Ekitike. He started great. He scored in the Charity Shield. I sound like I was being dead negative, but I thought his finish wasn't as clinical.
You were being dead negative in the summer.
Oh, I was.
You were saying, are you sure that we're spending the money on the right person here?
Yeah, because the reports I read from him from social media, obviously I'm not like some stato, I'm just kind of, your average fan looking on Twitter. He's got a bit about him that he's having himself. And he was in that PSG team with, the Neymars and the Messis and all that. And from what you read, the coaches thought there's a problem there with his attitude, his temperament. He's having himself before he's actually done anything. Doesn't do well at PSG, gets fucked off, and he has a good season in the Bundesliga. I think he scores 14 goals, and then we sign him. We might have 1 or 2 seasons maybe. I thought it was a big risk, a lot of money for a player who hasn't really done a lot. He's young, and he's got this kind of, I wouldn't call it a chip on his shoulder, but from his coaches who he's worked with, he's got something like, a bit of a, really being, what's the word when you just kind of brand everyone from a certain country a certain way, like
you tar them with the same brush.
Yeah, like like that, just that kind of French kind of like and then you see him on his own. I know again can't judge a player how he dresses or whatever, but like he turned up to the French team and he looked like he was going on a catwalk model. Well, the whole French team did, to be fair.
Yeah, I was going to say Konate does that.
Konate does the same. So I mean, I'm clutching at straws, trying to slag him off for how the clothes he wears. My point is, the PSG reports where he's kind of having himself a bit. So he comes on for Isak, who's got his goal. There's a foul, a bit of a duel. There's a foul. He gets the ball, punches it up in the air. Why has he done that? There's just no need for it whatsoever. Fine, gets the yellow card, needless. And then his goal, which is a tap-in, by the way. Chiesa, who I've been really, really, I've slagged in the past. What a touch that was to bring it down.
Unbelievable, yeah.
Unbelievable touch. Slides it into him. Great goal. He then takes his top off, Messi-esque, points it to the crowd, and I thought, 1, it's the easiest goal you're ever going to score. 2, you've not done fuck all yet to even start giving it the Messi celebration. And 3, you're an idiot because you're going to get sent off.
4, Southampton.
4, yeah, you're playing against Southampton in the Carabao Cup. And 5, what was the message about to go? Yeah, I've just come on for the lad you've paid 125 million for. Forget him. This is the lad you want to remember. Like, what was he? Who was that message to?
I reckon,
because it was weird.
Earlier on in the season, obviously he hasn't played loads of games for us, but that kind of same attitude was what I was really liking when the Newcastle players were surrounding him, pushing him and all that, and he was just like laughing them off, whereas last season Nunes would have fucking tried to hit one of them or butt them or whatever. He would have got wound up by them. So I like that side of things where he can use that.
Yeah, I think that's the kind of diff. When I think of countries, right, you think of South Americans to be like, fucking hell, let's have it, you know what I mean? The Argentinian, that kind of, like the Uruguayan, obviously with Nunes, you like Suarez, yeah. With the French, I just think of like someone like cool and stylish, like Henry, and he's just laughing it off, yeah. And that's how they both seem to be as personalities.
Yeah, so I liked that side of things from him. I totally agree with what Robertson and Slot said about it afterwards. So Robertson said he won't be doing that again. We've obviously seen a couple of weeks ago, Kirkes diving, and then a few minutes later, not just for the dive, but the fact that he was in danger of probably getting a second yellow, got hooked. Obviously now Slot will be having a word with, or will have already had a word with Ekitike about that. Slot, which I didn't think he would do, came out and said, not only was it stupid, but he should be going to thank Chiesa for that. He should be going and saying, you've done the hard work, I've just tapped it in. He was like, it wasn't even a good goal. If you take on 3 or 4 men, yeah, you might be able to get away with that.
Yeah.
But you don't do it in the Carabao Cup when it's a tap in, when you're already on a yellow. There's so many things that he didn't even consider. But I do think he probably was saying, I'm the pick for number 9. But by doing that, he's now put himself at a disadvantage because he probably would have started at the weekend.
And that's the problem, which we've all spoke about, is how slot managers, all these new faces, all these new kind of new cultures, if you like, well, trying to maintain the old culture, but bringing in players who've got their own egos, their own beliefs and all that, and kind of gelling it all together. Because I know opposition fans will say Salah dives all the time. I don't think he does personally, but there's not been a time in this Liverpool team I can think of at the top of my head where we've had someone diving like that. Suarez was probably the last one, wasn't he? You kind of expected to do something. So when Kirke's done it, you're thinking, well, I thought personally he's not very Liverpool like this. Then you've got Ekitike doing that. You see Salah doing it when he's just won us the game and he's just scored a worldie, and you're like, it's Mo Salah, he scores 40 odd a season, whatever it is. To see him doing it, I just thought he needs pulling down a peg or two.
And I think he will. I think that's exactly what'll end up happening. It won't just be slots. It'll be like the senior players will be like, that's not what we do here. That's not the culture of us. Again, bringing it back to no offence to the opposition, but you don't need to do it against that kind of team. You don't need to do it when it's the first round for us of the Carabao Cup. We're not that arse.
In context, when I've seen Messi do it, I think it was against Real Madrid. He scores an unbelievable goal against Real Madrid and puts his top up like that. It's Tuesday night, Southampton League Cup, tapping. Like, there's a big difference. Also, how's Isak feel? Isak's come in. He's not up to speed. He's already, at a disadvantage because he's had no pre-season. He's getting up, kind of getting work put through his paces. He scores a goal, great. He's sitting there in the second half, and the fella who they've signed, who he's going to be competing with, is taking his top off and kind of, does that create a little thing between him and Isak or not? I don't know.
I'd like it to, yeah. Do you know? If they're very rarely going to be playing with each other, then let them try and be better than each other.
I know, but you don't want them to be like.
I'm not saying that it's going to get nasty.
Best mates, but you don't want them to be like. I don't know. I'm just thinking of the harmony in the dressing room.
So some of those like big United teams and stuff, the players didn't get on, but when they got on the pitch, they knew what they needed to do to win. And the same for some.
I don't think Andy Cole and Dwight York got on, did they? Or no, Sheringham. And, was it in York? I don't think.
Sheringham and Cole.
Was it?
Yeah.
I think Romario and someone from Brazil didn't get on either, did they?
But I think if they're not needing to be on the pitch that often anyway, I think Ekitike might go out on the left, to be fair, if you want to try and please everybody, because I reckon he probably over time will do more than Gakpo out there. And I think he's fucked himself because I think Isak starts at the weekend, and if I was slot, I'd be making it harder for Ekitike to get back in to prove a point that you've let yourself down. You just so you know, you were getting picked and you were doing better with your record. I think it was 5 in 8 games. He was flying.
Well, I think it messes up kind of Isak's recovery plan as well, doesn't it? Because now you've got to have to throw Chiesa in, aren't you?
Yeah, and you got
unless if you didn't want to give Isak 90 minutes, Chiesa's now going to get minutes that he probably wouldn't have. Yeah,
because Chiesa just played a 95 there, which as he played a full game for us before that.
That's a good point, mate.
He'll be able to do like 20, 25, 30 minutes at the weekend. Or
does Isak play for an hour then, and then Chiesa comes on last half an hour, do you think?
Yeah, possibly. Or somebody else, and they rotate things around. It might even be that they throw Verts up there, depending on how the game's going. And they kind of need to control the game a little bit better. You don't need a target man up there. You just need someone who's going to drop in and help out. I do think it's good for some of the players, because obviously they're like, well, we get to have an opportunity on this rotation. And as you said before, we've got loads of games coming up. He misses this one game, chances are he's back in the squad, if not starting on Wednesday. So we'll see.
Listen, we've got a big squad. It's been spoken about loads. I'm not kind of bothered about that. It was more for me, like the attitude kind of off the pitch stuff, where I just thought, lad, I couldn't be arsed at you being a diva and being like,
I also think it's just mad the first one alone, because
I know, like,
why are you getting, like, again, I don't know if that's like that, what I was saying before, like pretending to be wound up to prove that you're arsed, because what was he achieving there? It's not like it was like a dead intense game, or like he was on the break and it was to equalise. Like, we were sound. So it just seemed that he was getting that first yellow, needlessly. And then you just think, all right, sound, well, don't do anything stupid. And then he fucking did something stupid.
Do you do one, and I might be really, picking at him here, but you know the way some players, you can tell, they've got their Instagram accounts managed by someone else, and after each win, they just go, their agent, whoever puts it on,
say this.
Or, to be fair, when Salah does something, it's normally whatever. They very, very rarely, are on Instagram. Now, maybe this is an age thing. I know Salah's in his 30s and Van Dijk is. But Frimpong, which we mentioned about, is quite young and, say, childish. He's just a fucking young lad, by the way. Ekitike, I think, has got 2 Instagram accounts, hasn't he? And he's constantly doing stories. Now, I'm not trying to link that, but it's like...
Is that second one actually him?
I don't know, but my point is, and again, people are going, why you're asked if they're scoring goals. I'm just thinking of that team, that culture of kind of almost just super professional, it seems, with the likes of Van Dijk and Salah and the standards they've got. And now it just feels like they've got a couple of young lads in who Joker's a bit like that. And I just think there's more.
I think that is an age thing, though. I think
maybe I'm getting old.
I think lads their age will spend a lot more time on their phones or whatever. Might not have families to tend to, and they've got loads of spare time. They finish training at
that is Van Dijk, Salah both got kids and married, and these 2 young lads, maybe single or whatever, fucking on Instagram, active on the socials. I get that, but when you're looking at a team who is so professional in how they live their life, and that, to me, and I'm not having to go with them, but my big thing has been, how do you gel all them together? Because you've got all these seasoned veterans who are in the 30s, won it all, super professional. And then you're throwing in the likes of Ekitike and Frimpong, who are on the socials all the time, acting a bit stupid, doing the wrong thing. And it's like, you want to try and rein it in a bit, you know what I mean?
I think I said it the other week, it's getting that balance, isn't it? Where
you want that youth and that fun as well, don't get me wrong. You
don't want the players to be feeling bored or tired or going through the motions. You do want them to kind of perk up a little bit, and those lads will be injecting something into the training and the day-to-day and all that kind of stuff.
I suppose the people who come back at me and moan at me will say, you don't want them all to be robots, you want them all to have a bit of character, and I get that too. I just think it's going to be hard for the likes of Van Dijk and Salah and the manager to kind of, I don't know, I'm not trying to see trouble on the horizon, but it just wound me up. I just thought, why have you fucking done that?
And to be fair, the first person to kind of say to Ekitike, what have you done, was Frimpong. Everyone else will have been thinking it, but he was literally there lad, what are you doing?
The other bit of shit news was the centre-half, Leoni. Done really well, didn't he? Again, only Southampton, but thought he'd done really well. Everything that was asked of him, done really well. The stats there, most accurate passes, 97%. 100% of his aerial duels, 10 defensive contributions, 6 clearances, 3 interceptions, 3 ball recoveries, 4 passes into the final third, and 88 passes completed.
Now, out of all of that, by the way, none of those seemed last ditch or slide tackles. It just seemed to be he was in the right place. So I think it was Maldini that said something like, if you need to make a tackle, you'd been in the wrong position in the first place or something else, but he just seemed to be really calm. His stride was insane. He just seemed to be able to get across the players. His passing was really good. He wasn't just trying to find nice easy ones, considering it was his first game. He was having a little go going forward as well. And then unfortunately the debut got cut short.
Yeah. It looked like he got hit in the face or something, didn't it?
I thought he'd landed and banged his head, and that's what everyone kind of rushed towards.
It didn't show a replay either, did it?
No, and I haven't seen any pictures or anything since. Maybe because it looked
a bad one.
Disgusting, yeah. Sometimes they do that, don't they, to kind of protect the viewer.
I get that, but I don't think, but absolutely gutted for him, his debut, and what's an ACL, 9 months or something, is it?
It's going to be a while, yeah. And you want to manage that
this season
properly.
He's done then, isn't he?
Yeah. And as they were playing, I was thinking, he's showing here that he's playing next to Gomez, and he's showing that he should get the nod over Gomez for any games moving forward. To be that third centre-back, the first centre-back to come off the bench, so the third centre-back in terms of rank behind Konate and Van Dijk, I thought he's done himself the world of good here. He's had near enough the perfect game, and he might have even been coming off in the next like 10 minutes or so, just to kind of see if somebody else could come on, and obviously again you don't want all your players, if they haven't been playing, to be playing full 95 minutes.
It's one of them, if there's any area in the pitch as well where we needed to have a bit more cover, it was that, wasn't it? So it's only Gomez now, isn't it, that we've got?
Yeah, and at a push,
Endo.
Bajcetic as well, if he can come in.
I wouldn't like to be playing a decent team and then Bajcetic fucking that centre half.
But it's the point we were making during like pre-season when we were talking about potentially getting Guy in.
Maybe Gay comes in January now then.
The only thing is, if you're... So, I'm in a WhatsApp group that's got a Palace fan in, and he was basically saying, if we're still in Europe and we're still doing all right in the league, we're not going to be wanting to get rid of him if it's not for, like, silly money. And if we're off...
I can't see Palace being at a point in January, though, where they're going to write off the season, even if they're not maybe in the Europa League qualifications or whatever in the league. I don't think that... Yeah, but how much do you need then to throw at them in January to let him go early?
Well, they'll try and like... Because
he's going to go for nothing. They're not going to get any money for him, are they now? So
yeah, but it's how much they'll make per position in the league and how far they can get in the Conference League. How much money is he worth?
If they can line up a decent centre-half in January, if Liverpool can say to them now, look, we're going to need a defender in January, can you start looking for one because we want your one? And we'll give you 20 million for him.
I mean, it's perfect timing for some of the players to get in his ear at the weekend. Like,
yeah,
a couple of players just be like, "Hey lad, come on,
yeah,
do an Isak, throw your toys out the pram there."
Did you see the interview with Van Dijk? And he said, "What did you say to Isak at the Newcastle? Like, you know,
and he said it'll come out soon. It'll come out. That'll be one of those where after dinner speech kind of thing, or something like that, or Monday Night Football when he gets drafted in to do a little analysis."
But you're right, yeah. On to the weekend, Palace. Be a tough game, I think. I mean, I know the Charity Shield, you can't really take much from it, but been impressed with Palace at times over even last season. Obviously, the manager is the kind of main talking point, and he's the one who's kind of been touted to get a bigger and better job. I think them losing out on Eze was obviously a big thing for them, but I think, well, yeah, you've just, you know, it's their must, the only other unbeaten team. And it's away. I think it's going to be a tough game.
Yeah, they are unbeaten, but that's 3 draws out of those first 5 games. So they're up there. But what they're showing is that they're hard to beat. And that's, I think, one of the things that they were good at last year. One of the reasons why we were trying to get Gay is because they are hard to beat. And when we have played them in the past, it's been hard to break them down, but then they've maybe got us on the break with some of their attacking options that they've got. So it will be good to see how we set up to play against them and how they'll set up to play against us. Normally they play a 3 at the back. And you've got Mitchell and who else? Munoz on the flank. So that might be more of a 5 than a 3 for some of the game. So it's a case of us trying to make that a 5 rather than inviting their wing backs to come on to our full backs, who, as we know, have been getting yellows here, there and everywhere, haven't they?
Yeah, I think it'll be a tough game. If we can, I'd obviously, I'm not saying I'd take a draw. I want us to get 3 points, but I think if we get a draw, would you be that gutted if you got a draw?
I think with the fact that all the other teams that we're competing against have already dropped points, and in some cases dropped a good few points, then we can be afforded a draw. We've got to pick and choose when, or not pick and choose, because obviously
I just think
you want to win every game.
I just think their manager's really good. Like, he's a really good manager, and I think he'll have them set up in the right way. And I think it'd be a really, really hard game for us. I'm going to go for a 2-1 win. Yeah, 3 o'clock Saturday, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to go 2-1.
I'm going to hope that we get 3 goals just to make it easier for us, like a 3-1 or something. Because similar to what Gary was saying last week, I'm struggling to see Liverpool keeping clean sheets at the moment. Like, I think it is because we are trying to do things more going forward, but
I'm sure I said weeks ago, it was to me dad, I said the bet to do every season is Liverpool to win
Like a score and win.
Both teams to score, yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see, if we look at Liverpool's games, every game, 2-1, 2-1, 3-2, 1-0, 1-0, 3-2, 4-2. So every game, apart from 2, have been score and win.
Put your money where your mouth is this weekend, then, lad.
I need to, yeah. On to Everton, playing at the Hill Dickinson Stadium. David Moyes derby. West Ham have been shocking, haven't they, to be fair?
Except for the 1 week where I put Chris Wood to score.
When they beat Forest.
And they won 3-0.
Yeah, Nuno's last game. Is there still too much time to say David Moyes knows this West Ham team inside out still, even though it's been a while on it since he's been there, but
He'll know a good chunk of the players. They didn't bring in loads, did they, at the summer? I think a lot of those players will have been David Moyes players. Obviously, the system's going to be different with Potter, but the system's different in a negative way.
Yeah.
If you're a West Ham fan,
he's
thinking about
he's
it.
under big pressure, and there's so much unhappiness in the West Ham fans there. There's protests going on all
my
kinds.
Twitter is just full of anti-Potter stuff, and I don't even follow anyone from West Ham.
No.
I think it's just everyone else jumping on it.
All I listen to on TalkSport is all them ringing up, having a go at the owners and stuff like that. So it's a club in disarray at the moment. And again, I said that when West Ham won the Europa Conference. I said, be careful what you wish for. You got a manager there. I don't know how they could slag Moyes off when he's just got them a trophy. It's absolutely bizarre. So I'm actually happy that West Ham fans are a bit upset at the minute. I actually think Everton will win there. I think they'll keep a clean sheet. I think 2-0.
I was going to say, I reckon it's a 2-0 game, yeah.
Yeah, I think... is that 3 o'clock as well on Saturday, is it?
By Monday?
Is it Monday, is it?
I don't know.
Let's see, Everton fixtures. They play West Ham at 8 o'clock Monday, it must be. The 29th, when's that? Yeah, Monday night then. Should be a decent atmosphere then for them. Yeah, I can see it. I think 2-0.
And I think they'll have a lot of their better players nice and fit because of the fact that they all got rested, didn't they, during the week, which I still don't get. And I know a lot of Everton fans don't get it either. Like, especially like this season, if it was this time last season and they're down there and you go, and you know what, we don't even think about the League Cup because we need to actually stay in the Premier. Then you'd understand. But they've had a really good start to the season. It's a way of kicking on and getting another win under your belt to kind of carry on with that good momentum. Obviously, as Gary was saying, they kind of chalked the derby off anyway. Because if you get beat against the champions, that's fine. Let's go on to the next game. And the next game was against bottom of the league in the League Cup.
Yeah.
Would you not want to go and try and win some silverware?
I think, like you say, it was the perfect way to take some momentum into the league, get a good cup run going. They took 3,000 fans down there, so clearly the fans were up for a bit of a cup run. They've shown in the signings they've got with Grealish and Dewsbury Hall and Ndiaye. I think Ndiaye's great. They've got more than enough there to do a number on Wolves, who, like you say, are bottom of the league, and a chance to win a trophy. I mean, me and Gary have had banter over the years with, like, what would you want to do? Just constantly finish kind of 7th, 8th, 9th and never ever win nothing? Or do you want to kind of take maybe getting relegated and then winning the championship and getting back in the league? And, fans will differ on what they want. But you play football to win stuff. Like, they're not going to win the league. They're not in Europe. You've only got the FA Cup and League Cup. And to straight away
and this is the easiest out.
This is the easiest one. And to just go out at the first attempt, it's just like absolutely bizarre.
Second
from
attempt,
Moyes.
they had Mansfield, didn't they, in the first?
Sorry, Mansfield. To go out in the second round of them playing in it, it's just absolutely bizarre. And this whole idea of resting players, I don't get why you don't start with a decent team.
And then rest while you're 2-0 up or whatever.
Because it's not as if they're playing someone at the weekend. They're not playing till a Monday night. So even if they had played Grealish and Ndiaye and Dewsbury Hall and give it a real good go, they would have had, 6 days to recover anyway for the next game.
And then you've got Liverpool. Say Liverpool rested like wholesale 11 changes, wasn't it? But they did have a midweek game last week. So they did Sunday, was it Sunday, Wednesday, Saturday, and then Tuesday. So yeah, you can go. There's a lot of games there, and then they're playing again on Saturday. if I'm an Everton fan, I'm just thinking, why would we need to rest all, like, rest one or two? But
he made 7 changes, I think it
you
was.
had Coleman left back. Then you're making wholesale changes in the middle, which, again, those players are good players when they come into the system where the other players have been playing that system anyway. But I just think when you make all of those changes, I don't think you get the best out of those players that come on, because they're all going to be playing a little bit more within themselves at a little bit of a lower level, because they don't necessarily know what they're doing as much as if they're playing next to someone who's been doing it day in, day out, week in, week out during the games. I just think that if you're making all of those changes, it needs to be for a reason, and I don't think they needed to have everybody fully
Mate, they were playing
fit
Wolves
next week.
And I know as a fan can get frustrated to go, that could have been our best chance winning the cup. But how are you feeling as a player where you're going, we've brought in a few changes here to mix it up to rest our kind of big guns?
Where's the ambition?
Where's the ambition? And the fact that our kind of second string can't even beat Wolves, bottom of the league. It's like that momentum as a player that you get thinking, like, come on, next round now, come on, we're going to win something. I want to win something for my CV. I want to win a trophy. I just think it's a mad thing to have in the dressing room, that attitude of...
It seems to be that the League Cup is the rotation cup for the Prem teams, isn't it? It's like, that's where you'll get your minutes. We'll be playing in the League Cup next week. You'll get some minutes there. But then, on the flip side, that opportunity's gone now. So if they were to got someone in the next round, that would have been a time for those players to get more minutes. But now they can't.
Exactly.
Like, I just don't get how it benefits anybody. Like, yeah, you're getting some minutes for some of the lads to get them off the bench and to make them feel part of the squad and stuff. But you've also now reduced the amount of games that you're potentially going to play in it, because they're not in that cup anymore.
And you think they had some, like Gary said, they kind of almost wrote the derby off. Well, maybe some fans did. But now they're out of that. Before you know it, let's say they don't get a result now over a you've kind of had a good start to the season. But then suddenly you get beat in the derby, you're out the cup, and you get beat by West Ham. And then suddenly it's like...
the wind's out your sails.
Yeah, and it's so... Mad decision by Moyes completely. And I think a lot of fans have been unhappy with it as well, haven't they? The other mad story, Arsenal, Arteta's mad, isn't he? He's a bit weird, isn't he?
Yeah, he's fully having himself. Or he's trying to convince everybody else to have him.
What manager comes out though, right? Getting a draw against one of your rivals at home where you really should be winning, I think, if you want to win the league, and coming out saying, hey, I've had like CEOs and business owners messaging me there saying, can't believe what you've done there to City. What have you done to City? What you drew against them? I don't know who he's trying to convince, but that's... Who's asked if a CEO texts you and says, hey, can't believe you just done that to Pep? It's bizarre.
I think that... I didn't see Arteta's post-match. I saw Pep's post-match, and Pep seemed down about it. He wasn't happy with how his team ended up getting set up during the game because they had to defend more, and he was like, I don't like playing that style of football. I didn't enjoy the game. I didn't like the result. He was really negative about it. And then on the flip side, his rival is then going, everyone's bigging me up because I got a draw against City. That shows that he's got a smaller, I'm not saying Arsenal are a small club, but a smaller club mentality of, well, I think I'm doing well because I'm challenging with them. Whereas Pep is unhappy that he hasn't won.
Yeah, I think he's got too much respect for Pep. Listen, they're obviously mates, they've worked together for a while. It's almost like the teacher and the students kind of is maybe on the brink of taking over, but he's scared of being disrespectful to his boss, if you like. I think he just needs to be more ruthless, Arteta. Like, he obviously didn't start Eze, I don't think, did he? And it was at Martinelli, I don't think he started. And I've seen all the pundits being like critical of him, saying like, you're just too defensive in these big games, you don't really go for it. I can't remember a time when, and again, I don't watch Arsenal every week, but I'm trying to think of a time when Arsenal last beat City, like, convincingly. Because when I think of Liverpool, there's loads of times I can think under Klopp as well, when we've battered them, and you're like,
or vice versa as well. But I do think that Arteta's stance on games against Liverpool, games against City, tends to be, I'd rather take 2 points off them than try and get 3 points myself. So I'd rather stay within touching distance than risk them getting the full 3 and me getting nothing. I'd rather be on the same level that we were 90 minutes ago, which I don't think that's a mentality for a winner.
By the way, talking shite, Arsenal beat City 5-1 in February, so ignore that. Don't be clipping that up, making me look stupid. But yeah, apart from that, there's been loads of draws. City win. I mean, that's the only time they've won Arsenal in the last few years. But yeah, I just think it's just negative, and I think they've already got beat by Liverpool. You're at home against City. You know, you need to you need to do more than what they did.
They've got to be gaining ground, haven't they, on
Yeah.
these teams? But like I said, I think he's more concerned about not letting City go further. Let's not bring City closer to us. We'll keep them at arm's length if we can make sure that they don't get all 3 points. And
You know, as a player though in the dressing room, you gutted that you've. All right, yeah, they got quite a late goal to get the draw, but you gutted you've not maybe won or done more. Does Arteta go in the dressing room after it and go, hey, just had the manager of PSG ring me there and go, hey, you've done all right there, lads, you know? Like, is that what he's saying to his players?
Like, what difference does that make?
What coaches and CEOs are ringing him that he feels the need to go, so-and-so's just told me?
But again, I think that's just an insecurity thing. So
Weird.
He's letting the general public know that everybody who's a high flyer, they think I'm doing all right, whether you don't, because maybe you just don't understand it. But these people who are making millions, they're having me.
Yeah.
And it's like, so, get 3 points.
Yeah.
Against your rivals, go and try and get 3 points. I think Carragher mentioned it after the game. He was like, you can't be doing this all the time and then expecting a different outcome.
Yeah, I think he's... I mean, it's one of them. It doesn't concern me at all. But if you're an Arsenal fan, how long do you give him? Like, he's spent a lot of money. He's been there, 5 years now? Mm-hmm. I just think if you can compare Arteta to Klopp and the strides Klopp made and the trophies Klopp started the bank after his, 3rd year, 4th year? It did take him a couple of years, didn't it, to be fair? But even then, you saw progression each year. You saw progression with Arsenal. Fair play to him.
But not in terms of
trophies. And it's like... Yeah. What does he do? Just become one of those teams that were like a great team to watch, like Newcastle. Everyone talks about Kevin Keegan and Asprilla and Ferdinand and Ginola. They didn't fucking win anything. So I think Arteta might be feeling the pressure because...
And also, their style of football isn't good to watch anyway.
No. And again, all the pundits on the overlap have said it. It's like they're almost waiting for a corner kick, aren't they, to score? And to be fair, it does look good when they've got all these, like, it's like watching a dance routine on Britain's Got Talent or something. They're all like running round, and it is dangerous. But unless they get that attack, it's like, yeah, I'm not having him at all, Arteta. Like, I think he's feeling the pressure.
Yeah, and I think that's why he's trying to deflect it by saying other people think I'm good.
Yeah,
even if
Mark Zuckerberg just rang me there, you know, said, "I can't believe you've done that." Fuck off, you tit. Yeah, who've they got the weekend? And so the big rivals, who've they got? So we're 5 points clear of Arsenal. City at home to Burnley. You'd expect City to absolutely batter them.
Newcastle Arsenal.
And then Newcastle Arsenal on the Sunday.
Right,
Sorry, yeah. And they're going to be here in the feathers. That'd be a good game, won't it?
Hopefully it's a bit like last week where we do our job on the Saturday and it makes that Sunday viewing a little bit easier.
A tastier,
yeah.
Yeah. Happy days. Anything else in the other world of sport?
No. All good, lad.
Sweet, we'll leave it there with the footy then. Right, massive thank you again for sticking with the show. Please like, comment, subscribe, share it to any of your mates you think might like it. Don't forget, get down the feathers. You've got Steph Hodge on Friday tonight, the Left Indicators Saturday, as well as, like we've just said, the Newcastle Arsenal game on Sunday. Massive thanks to Peter Jackson and Hill Dickinson once again for sponsoring the podcast, and we'll see you all soon.